What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Night Shift. So I have seen this movie before. I was at the Salvation Army probably about like 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, and I randomly found this movie on DVD. I had never heard about it before. I didn't know anything about it, and just I checked out the back. I'm like, oh, I read the little plot summary. I'm like, oh, this seems like a crazy plot. And oh, like Henry Winkler's in this, Michael Keaton's in this. I'm like, this has some stars, and they were young. So I'm like, yeah, let me check this out. And I thought it was absolutely amazing the first time that I saw it. I'm like, this movie is the cat's pajamas. This is the bee's knees. Like, why does nobody talk about this? Maybe because it's a little bit older, but it just popped up on Tubi pretty recently. So I'm like, let me rewatch this. This is a perfect time to rewatch it. Like, I hadn't even thought about this movie in a couple years, but I'm like, it's on Tubi. Let me rewatch this, and upon rewatch, I my mind has not changed. I still think this movie is fantastic, and I thought I was like the only one. I thought nobody knew about this movie, but I went on the internet, and this has like I believe like a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, and some of the actors were like nominated for awards, and I think they won some awards for this. So yeah, I guess this is a well-regarded movie. I thought this was like a hidden gem and nobody knew about it, but I think people do know about this movie, and it's generally very liked because I love it. I was like, does nobody else love this movie? But yeah, my overall opinion is that this is a fantastic movie. Upon rewatch, it's still the bee's knees. So jumping into a plot summary. You have the main character, Chuck, played by Henry Winkler, and he is, he used to be a stockbroker, but now he's working at this morgue. He's been working there for like 6 years, and he's working there because he just wants a chill gig, like a non-stress gig, because he's more of like a quiet, reserved guy. So, you know, things are going pretty well. He's working at the morgue. He's got a fiance. And then his boss comes through and he's like, I'm moving you to night shift because the boss's nephew is getting his job on some, nepotism stuff. So Chuck is moved to night shift, and he has to work with this new guy, Bill, who's played by Michael Keaton. And Chuck, like I said, he's quiet, he's reserved. He was just hoping for a nice quiet night shift, but Bill came through, and he's loud, he's obnoxious, he's kind of crazy. So he's like, Chuck's life is getting a little bit disrupted. He's got to work nights now. That's causing like a rift in his relationship, and then he's got to work with this annoying guy now who's like the polar opposite of him, who he's a quiet, like Chuck's a quiet guy, Bill's super loud. So his life's getting a little bit disrupted, and his neighbor, Belinda, she is a sex worker, and basically at the beginning of the movie, her pimp died, and she keeps like reaching out to Chuck to help her out, because since she doesn't have a pimp, she's getting like roughed up, and she's getting in legal trouble, and all this stuff is happening. So there's this, okay, so Bill, his character, he's like this idea man. He has all these crazy ideas, and he keeps like a tape recorder, and he just records any crazy idea he has. And usually his ideas are really stupid, but in addition to having these crazy ideas, he does these little side hustles, while they're working at the morgue. So he'll like drive people around in the morgue vehicle, and like say it's like a limo service. So he hatches this plan to, he's like, well, Belinda needs a pimp. He's like, let's run like a let's like manage all these sex workers out of the morgue. So they do that, and stuff's initially going well. They're making bank. Bill, he's getting iced up. He's got like, he's got like the plain Jane. Well, I mean, if it's a plain Jane, he's not iced up. But yeah, he's got like the rolly going on. He's got, like gold bracelets, gold necklaces. He's got like pretty, like souped up like whip. He's got like the tinted windows and everything. So basically, stuff's going well. They're cashing out. They're getting iced up. It's all good. But then, you know, stuff starts to unravel. So basically, Chuck, falls in love with his neighbor Belinda, who's the sex worker, and there's this whole there's this weird dynamic where she's still working and he wants to be monogamous, but it's just it's like it's not working out, and they're both like distraught because they both really do love each other, but it's just like, how is this gonna work if you're still getting with these guys every night for your job? So there's like that whole tricky relationship dynamic, and then also the cops are starting to catch wind of what they're doing, and there's these like other pimps that are after them, and they want a piece of the pie, and they're if they don't get a piece of the pie, they might rough Bill and Chuck up. So that is the basic plot summary. Jumping in my first point here, I really like the coworker dynamic in this movie. It's like a super realistic and relatable coworker dynamic. I kind of relate to Chuck because he's the rule follower. That's how I am at work. Like I am never late. I follow the rules to a T, and a lot of my not a lot like some of my other coworkers, they're breaking the rules more, and it's like I'm always just like stressing. I'm like, what are you doing? We're supposed to be at work. Like, you're supposed to be on time, blah, blah, blah. So I'm kind of like Chuck, where I'm like more like the straight man at work, and I'm just more like the rule follower. And in addition to like that dynamic, I like how, like there's like this one instance early on where Chuck tells Bill to shut up, and Bill's like, I thought we were friends. And, I feel like I relate to that as well, because you're working with your coworkers so much, they kind of become like your second family, and you really do have that bond with them. And sometimes you get mad like you do with your family, and you lash out, and you feel terrible afterward, like even though you're annoyed. Like I have some coworkers like Bill where they go on and they do talk a lot, and sometimes in my head I'm thinking like, I wish you would just, be quiet for like a little bit, but like, I don't say it, but like overall I do really like them, and I do feel that like bond with them. So I really like the coworker dynamic in this, and just like the overall friendship dynamic. And there was some good drama, like Bill, he's kind of silly, throughout the movie, but like later on he tears up, and he's talking about his like childhood, and his home life growing up. And like Michael Keaton's performance like throughout the movie was great, but like in that scene, like when he had to like give like a strong emotional performance, like he was so like dynamic in this movie, where he could be like silly one moment, but then he could be like extremely vulnerable and emotional. Henry Winkler was great in this as well. Like he had some he had some like very strong emotional moments, emotional scenes, and he was dynamic as well, where he's this timid kind of reserved guy, but as the movie goes on, he grows, and he starts to like stand up for himself. So he's just like later on in the movie he just becomes like a absolute boss where he's not he's not taking any crap. And yeah, he was dynamic as well. So yeah, the Michael Keaton and Henry Winkler's performances in this were fantastic, and I loved their like friendship slash coworker dynamic. Another thing that I thought was really interesting about the movie is just the premise itself, where I mean, not just them running this like little sex worker business, that was interesting, but the whole like relationship dynamic, you know, falling in love with a sex worker. You know, it's like if your girlfriend is like an adult film star, it's like most people they can't like wrap their head around that. Like me personally, it's hard for me to wrap my head around that, you know, because most people, you know, there's people who are like, you know, polyamorous and they have multiple partners, but like a lot of people, if they are in like a loving relationship, they just want to be like monogamous. They just want to be with, you know, one person. So it's like it's a weird, it not like, I'm not saying weird, but it's like it's hard for most people to wrap their head around a relationship dynamic like that, where, you know, this person loves them and they love this person and they're intimate with them, you know, they're pretty much monogamous, but then this person for their job is like going out every night having sex with other people. Like it's I feel like even if you're the most, you know, chill person, you're the most like, you know, loosey-goosey person, non-judgmental person, like you would have a problem with that. You know, it's like you would kind of get jealous, or you would feel like, you know what, like we have this intimate thing and you're still working, you're still doing this, like you know, you feel like kind of betrayed almost, even though the person isn't betraying you. So I like that they kind of, you know, delved into that, because, you know, even when I'm talking about it now, like I don't know like the clear cut answer. That's just like it's like a difficult relationship dynamic. Like if you are monogamous, like I said, like some people do have multiple partners, so for them it probably wouldn't be, you know, as much of a challenge to wrap their head around. But like for monogamous people, they'd be like, what, like I'm jealous, I feel betrayed, like I don't get it. So yeah, the whole relationship dynamic was super interesting. And you know, it's like the age old saying, I'm not going to say the actual saying because it's like a little inappropriate for the internet, for these young cats out there, but you can't turn a blank into a housewife, you know? You can't turn a blah blah blah, you can't turn a sex worker into a housewife. Like that's always something that has been said. Like, you know, the woman in the movie Belinda, like that's been her whole life, like that's her livelihood is doing that. So like, you know, Chuck just thinks he can, like he's just gonna like save her and they're gonna fall in love and she's just instantly gonna stop. But it's like that's her, not only her livelihood, but that's like her lifestyle. Like that's all she knows. Like that's all she knows how to do to make money, and like that's like her way of life. It's like ingrained in her. So it's like, I mean, there are instances where someone from that profession can just settle down and have like a normal marriage, but I feel like for the most part those are probably like outlier situations. So I don't know, I like that they tackled this whole relationship dynamic, because I don't know, it's just interesting. Like of course it could work, but it would be very hard, and the movie showcases that it's just it's a hard balancing act to try to, you know, have this job where you're having, you know, different relationships every night, and then go home and have like a normal loving monogamous relationship. So very interesting. I like that they tackled that. It's it's just a interesting concept. It gets you thinking. It gets the brain going. So yeah, great concept. Also, it's kind of cool too how he's kind of like revolutionizing the pimp game. Like, you know, he's like a nice pimp, and instead of taking 80 or 90%, he's taking 10%, but he's got like a full stable. You know, he's got like probably 10 or 15 girls, so he's getting 10% of every girl. But like he's like, these girls have health insurance, 401k. Like, I think that was interesting and kind of ahead of its time too, because, you know, of course, in the United States, sex work is illegal, but there's always been that debate, like, should they make it legal? Should it still be illegal? And I don't get political on the channel, so I'm not gonna say either way, like my beliefs or whatever. But it is interesting to think like, what if they did make it legal, and then, you know, these girls could get like 401k and health insurance and became like a legitimate business. So I think that's, once again, an interesting thing to think about, and I think this movie was kind of ahead of its time in that regard, because like, who knows, maybe it will be like that in the future where, you know, girls are doing that type of work and they're making they're getting like 401ks. I mean, almost with OnlyFans, it is kind of like that nowadays, but that's not like actual like sex work. Like, that's more just well, I don't know. Well, yeah, it's not sex work, because sex work, like, if you're doing the stuff in this movie, that's illegal. But I don't know. There's some parallels with OnlyFans. So yeah, like I said, this movie was kind of ahead of its time with that stuff. So pretty cool. Jumping into my last couple points. So I'm going to talk about Michael Keaton's character Bill a little bit. So, like I said, he's this idea man. He's always recording ideas with his tape recorder, and most of the ideas are stupid. And here's the thing. I think, like, I was thinking about this guy, and I related to Chuck, because I'm kind of like a rule follower, but I'm kind of I'm like extremely optimistic a lot of the time, and I just like jump into stuff without thinking. I'm kind of impulsive, you know. I'm like, even like with doing the YouTube channel, I had no plan, and like I just thought like it would like sometimes I'm like the little train who could, where I'm like, I think I can do this. I can do that. Like, other humans have done it. I can do it. Like, whatever I set my mind to, I can do. So like, I feel like sometimes, well, actually, I think about this like with pretty much everything that I do. I'm like, you can't like get in your own way. You can't overthink it. You can't you can't, sometimes like you have to be like practical and logical, but sometimes you just gotta like, sometimes like stupid ideas are the best ideas, if that makes sense. Like, and then sometimes believing in yourself is stupid. Like, it's not a lot of things, like where people are like extremely successful, or, you know, they like make boatloads of money. It's like statistically improbable. Like, if they went down and like, if they like crunched the numbers and were like, am I gonna become an actor? Am I gonna make $1 million with this investment? Like, statistically, it's very improbable. But like, sometimes you gotta like just get out of your own way. Sometimes stupid ideas are the best ideas, and sometimes you gotta take a risk, and like, that's how you get this guap. So I like that whole sentiment as well, because I don't know, I just like, I believe in that. Like this is my like word of advice for people. Like, if you're thinking like, you know, within reason, like if like positive stuff, like don't do anything crazy, but you know, if you're trying to do something, like if you have like a dream that you want to follow, like, this is gonna sound so corny, but like I'm like being 100% real right now. Like, I legitimately believe this. Like, if you have like some dream, some like goal, and you think it's stupid or other people think are stupid, like I feel like don't even worry about it. Like, you know, you got like one life to live, like whatever floats your boat, like whatever you want to do it. Like if other people think it's stupid, if you in your head think it's stupid, like get out of your head, like just do it on some Shia LaBeouf stuff. Like I feel like life's too short to not to like go for it within reason. Like of course don't be crazy, don't like spend all your money, or don't like quit your 9 to 5, but like definitely work towards your goals. And even if you don't reach them, you can be like, you know what, I went as hard as I could and I tried to reach it. And then maybe you find some, like along that journey you find something else. So I feel like you just gotta go for stuff. That's, I don't know if that was good advice, but that's how I approach life. I'm just like randomly throwing stuff out there. That's my approach. I just throw stuff at the wall. I see what sticks. I'll just like try stuff. Like that's my advice. Don't be afraid to try stuff. Like never be afraid to like look like a fool or like start out bad at stuff. Like just try stuff. That's my advice. Except like don't try bad stuff. But anyways, I kind of liked the character of Bill and how he has like a lot of stupid ideas, but he sometimes he like believes in himself, and I mean his one good idea was a huge money making idea. So a lot of the times that's how it goes. You just need one good idea, and people might think it's stupid, but sometimes you'll make all kinds of guap. So I like that. And then the last point that I want to get into is also related to Bill, and basically so how he's doing all these little side gigs while at work, like he's using the work vehicle like a limo and getting money. That reminds me of this. So I was working at this restaurant. It was like a pizza place, and my buddy basically he like got me the job, and he was working there as well, and he would just like while we were at work, he would just go on Snapchat and he would post. He would be like, half off pizza, meet me around back, and he would like get people's orders in Snapchat. And like on days when the boss was in, or it was like the boss was out, he would when no one was looking, he would make the pizza. Like he would take people's orders on Snapchat and he would make the pizza, and then he would like throw it through the oven. And I was working the oven, so I had to like slip the pizza to him. But I was like a rule follower. I was like, dude, I don't like this, but like I mean you put it in the oven, so I gotta like give it to you. And like I wasn't gonna be like a snitch, so like I just gave it to him real quick. But like I didn't like agree with that stuff, like that whole thing. But I thought it was funny. Like I always tell the story. So he would like take people's order on Snapchat, make their pizza when no one was looking, and then he would run out to the back alley real quick. And he would always say this is what he would say every time. He'd be like, yo, Earl, I got to go make a sale. And then he would just like duck in the back, and then he would come back in real quick. So I don't know, when I was watching the movie this time, I thought about that, because I think that's like the funniest thing ever, to like be at your job and like use your job to create like other little side hustles. And it is kind of funny, like even though I would never do it, like the idea of it is funny, of just kind of like you're working some crappy job, not making that much money, and you're just like kind of screwing over the company. Like I mean you're not really screwing them over, because it's like what is $10 here, $10 there, like of actual ingredients or whatever. Like, but I just thought that was funny. He would just go in the back, sell the pizza half price, and just like pocket all the cash. And that reminded me of like Bill from this, doing like the little like limo service. Like he's supposed to be just like staying there working. They probably have something to do, but like he's like, you know what? Like I'm working this crappy job, night shift. I might as well, get some cash. You know, I'm making a dime. The boss is making $1. I might as well get a few extra $100. So yeah, that story where my friend was like flipping the pizzas out in the back alley. That reminded me of Bill from this movie. Or actually the other way around. When I was watching the movie and I saw Bill doing his little side hustles, it reminded me of my buddy, flipping the pizzas for the cash in the back alley. So yeah, that was the last little point that I wanted to get into. So in terms of a recommendation, I think Night Shift is absolutely fantastic. I think this movie, it's just the comedy is great. All the relationships are great. The premise is super interesting. There's some fantastic dramatic moments, great performances. I could go on and on and on. I love this movie. Like, I really like this movie. And if you have not seen Night Shift, please, please, please check it out. It's free right now on Tubi. You got nothing to lose. Just please watch this movie. So that has been my review of Night Shift. Thank you all very much for watching, and peace out.